Assalamualaikum. I will talk about strategic communication and writing in relation to strategic communication. Now, scholars and communication professionals have adopted strategic comm as an umbrella term meant to include a variety of communication-related professions such as public relations, brand communication, advertising, and more. Although the term is not new, scholars have only recently examined it as a unified paradigm or a cohesive paradigm. Hallahan et al. Defines strategic communication as the purposeful use of communication by an organization to fulfill its mission. It is multidisciplinary in that it draws from a variety of methods and subject areas. So according to Paul, creating clear goals and understanding how a certain set of audience attitudes, behaviors, or perceptions will support those objectives is what makes communication strategic. So in strategic communication, message development or the process of creating key points or ideas requires high levels of planning and research. So these messages are targeted or created with a specific audience in mind and help to position an organization's communication goals and with its structural goals. As the world becomes increasingly interconnected through new forms of communication, the role of strategic communications is to help organizations understand how to effectively deliver their message to key audiences. So you can see that strategic communication is basically communication that is strategic. You have a set of goals, you have a purpose, and how will your communication meet these goals? Basically, how a certain set of audience attitudes, behaviors, or perceptions will support those objectives. So this is what makes your communication strategic. So you want to make everybody go on the same page. There are 5 tenets of strategic communication. Intentional message design. Strategic communication involves a great deal of thought, planning, and analysis, and think of the message's implications. So begin with a realistic communication goal for what you're trying to achieve. This reinforces Paul's argument about what constitutes strategic comm. Do you want to cultivate positive associations with the organization's brand? Do you want to raise awareness of a product? So what are the objectives, isn't it? Connect with key stakeholders in a meaningful manner. So whatever your goal, you must begin with a well-defined purpose and continue to keep it at the forefront throughout the process of creation and implementation. Communication goal and organizational goal must work hand in hand. So you have this socially responsible goal as you work with an NGO, isn't it, right? So what is the goal? So this is why when we come up with communication planning, we tend to look at strategic plans because we want to see what the organization's goals are, what the missions and the vision are. You want to communicate on behalf of the organization in such a way where it supports the mission and vision of the organization. It supports the strategic plan of the organization. The correct platforms, there's a saying in PR, marketing, and even journalism, go where your audience is. So a large part of this involves choosing the right platform to communicate to your key publics or audiences, and this can be challenging. So gone are the days when only a few major news stations, magazines, and radio stations controlled the message content for the masses. Today's audiences have many choices when it comes to media, so it makes it even more difficult for your message to be heard or seen. You're competing, there's a clutter of messages, and you want to cut through the clutter. So put message in a media vehicle accessed by your target readers. Calculated timing. All of your planning, analysis, and creative efforts may be wasted if your message is not communicated at the right moment. In 2014, Malaysia Airlines launched a marketing or PR campaign with a variety of prizes, including free airline tickets for potential customers in Australia and New Zealand. And the problem was the campaign, titled My Ultimate Bucket List, invited people to talk about places they would like to go and activities they would like to do before dying. So the timing of the campaign was not very wise. Earlier that year, 2 Malaysia Airlines flights had crashed, resulting in more than 500 deaths. And then although they wanted to they had this goal of the campaign that was to create a positive brand image after the tragedies, the fact that you used the term bucket list didn't make it very strategic because it was associated with death. And we've just heard of two, I mean, there were two airline issues, isn't it, right? Two plane issues, right? And two crises that's just happened, causing several deaths. Yeah, one plane was shot down, the other plane's still missing. Yeah, although bits of it have been found apparently, but still missing. So although the goal of the campaign was to create, so when you have a campaign after that that talks about places you should go, yeah, you talk about your bucket list before you die, it's too much of a coincidence that we've just had so many deaths and now you're still pondering on the idea of dying. It's not, I mean, ultimately this will happen, but it's just the way the campaign has been brought out, it's just not great, proved to be inappropriate. Yeah? Airline executives faced a backlash of criticism from the audience, and many of whom claimed that the message was insensitive. And the executives admitted their error and soon ended the campaign. Audience selection and analysis. Some audiences are more important to a message's goal than others, and audiences for internal communication messages include employees, investors, and managers, and audiences for external communication messages include customers, influencers, and the news media. So once you've selected your main audience, analyze it. This involves deep examination of attitudes, values, and beliefs toward the message topic. So you have audiences for internal communication, yeah, newsletters, everything that is internal. We have emails that are internal, only meant for the IIUM community, usually the staff, and external to other people outside. So once you've selected your main audience, analyze it. This involves deep examination of attitudes, values, and beliefs toward the message topic with the goal of giving the audience what they want and need. So you've got to be audience-centered. Desired impact. During the planning stage of a message, clearly define what a successful campaign will look like to the audience, to the organization. How will a strategic communication team measure success? Are you hoping to increase sales? Are you aiming to increase attendance? Are you trying to minimize negative media coverage about your client or company? Are you aiming to increase attendance at promotional events? So what are you trying to do? Yeah, desired impact. In 2015, shortly after a series of racially tense incidents across the country, the coffee chain Starbucks launched an initiative called Race Together that encouraged customers and employees to have conversations about race relations. Now, the company's CEO, Howard Schultz, told the Huffington Post, "Our intent is to try elevate the national conversation on race relations." Yeah. However, the initiative provoked a huge backlash, criticism on social media, and many people thought the campaign's goal was unrealistic. Why would Starbucks coffee shops be appropriate venues to begin healing the country's racial wounds? Others said the campaign was hypocritical, pointing out that the company's leadership team is predominantly white and or male. Some baristas reported feeling uncomfortable with initiating conversations. So that's the thing. It was, the company leadership of Starbucks is predominantly white and male, and you're talking about race relations. So it doesn't seem to be appropriate. It did not seem to be appropriate. So what's your desired impact? You want to bring races together through conversations about race relations, but it doesn't work when you are mainly white, yeah, led by white people, and it seems that you are hypocritical, yeah. And why would anybody talk about racial relations in Starbucks? Well, that's the thing. I mean, it takes more than that, in other words, possibly, yeah. So skills you should have: writing ability, presentation skills, analytic ability, ability to work under pressure, proactive mindset, adaptability, and diverse talent. As I've mentioned many times before, when you work out there, there is a lot of writing that you would need to do. You're in communication, you're graduating as communication graduates, and you are the ones who will be leading the way when it comes to writing. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi